Journalist Russell Owen described the bloodthirsty killer whales as the meanest-looking animals any of us have ever seen, and over the following decades other observers generally agreed. But in the span of 20 years, roughly 1962 to 1982, the ominous killer became the lovable orca. The crucible of this transformation was the Pacific Northwest. These days, orcas are the sacred animal of this secular region. Their distinctive forms seem to appear everywhere: indigenous art, tourist posters, beer labels. Shops on the Seattle waterfront stock killer whale trading cards, and local ferries sell a candy called Orca poop. From Portland, Oregon to Port Hardy, British Columbia, journalists breathlessly report the births and deaths of wild orcas, and networks of whale centers and museums post the lineages and comings and goings of various pods. Each year, 500,000 visitors from all over the world pay for whale-watching tours out of Seattle, Vancouver, Victoria, Friday Harbor, Telegraph Cove, and other ports, all to catch a glimpse of the region's killer whales. But there aren't many of them. While orcas range far and wide, nearly everywhere in the ocean, only a few hundred frequent the inner waters of the Pacific Northwest, and the 76 animals who presently make up the region's southern resident killer whales represent less than 1% of the world population. Put another way, the Salish Sea, a transborder ecosystem that includes the Strait of Georgia, Puget Sound, and the Strait of Juan de Fuca, boasts more than 100,000 people for every one resident killer whale. Yet the orca is the undisputed symbol of the region. When pressed, Northwesterners tend to attribute this status to the influence of either indigenous culture or the whale-watching industry. But the chronology doesn't fit. Local Coast Salish tribes were focused on land and fishing rights in the 1960s and 1970s and played little role in promoting public affection for orcas, and commercial whale watching emerged only in the 1980s and 1990s after the species became a tourist draw. The real reason killer whales are iconic is because Northwesterners were the first to catch, display, and sell them. Today, most observers associate orca captivity with SeaWorld, but it all started in the Salish Sea. From their first display in Seattle and Vancouver, killer whales were a hit. Just as elephants served as the signature animal of the modern zoo, orcas became the main attraction of the oceanarium industry, which was expanding across North America and Europe. Between 1962 and 1976, the Pacific Northwest was the world's only source of captive orcas. In those years, some 270 were corralled behind nets, many of them multiple times, in the shared waters of Washington State and British Columbia. Of these, at least 12 died during capture, and more than 50, mostly southern residents, were kept for display in the Northwest and around the world. These figures may seem ghastly, but they pale in comparison to the toll other industries took on cetaceans, the order of mammals that includes whales, dolphins, and porpoises. Between 1945 and 1982 alone, the world's whaling fleets harvested some 2 million great whales, while fishing vessels in the eastern Pacific knowingly killed more than 6 million dolphins in the process of catching yellowfin tuna, a method called fishing on porpoise. During these same years, the whaling nations regularly targeted orcas, with Norway killing more than 2,000 and Japan another 1,500. Killer whale capture had little in common with commercial whaling. The Northwesterners who chased orcas didn't plan to render their bodies into oil and meat, and on only one occasion did they hunt to kill. Rather, it was curiosity and the display industry's hunger for a signature animal that drove the pursuit. Unlike industrial whaling, however, orca catching took place in public view in a rapidly changing region. In the past, natives and newcomers alike had harvested otters, seals, and whales, and commercial fishing boats continued to ply the Salish Sea in the 1960s and 1970s. But the extractive economy of logging and fishing that